Hi guys. Okay. Hi everybody. I still have this weird little cough. Okay, it's glass rhinestone day. It's glass rhinestone day. We're gonna epoxy today. I'm I need to get this one under the coat of epoxy so I can start rhinestoning because today's rhinestones go with it. And if I'd come down and epoxied this last night, we'd be able to use today's rhinestones on it, and then I'd get to show them off to you guys. But I spazzed out and I didn't know these were coming today. I mentally had ticked them off that they were coming next week, but it's today. So we are going to epoxy today just because I do want to get these under a coat of epoxy so I can start doing this guy. So that when it is time, we're not willy-nilly. Now we did on the boardwalk on Monday, so we already launched those glass rhinestones. Today is fairy dust. Today is fairy dust. I don't know why, but this one is significantly cheaper. This one's only $5.25, so it's a smoking deal. It's all based on the individual colors that are in that mix. I'm always making sure to put premium stones in each mix, but it's just, some premium stones are just insanely expensive, and some are just expensive. So today's apparently were premiums, but some of the more reasonably priced ones. When I'm picking colors, by the way, um, I don't have the pricing sheet. Like it doesn't say, because every stone is a different price per size, and then so that the book would look ridiculous. And so I'm supposed to like refer to another page, which I don't have. For even ask works. I'm like, I'm not organized to ever use it. So I just told her if I ever order one that's like insanely expensive, because I accidentally, ironically, the most expensive rhinestones is a yellow stone and a green stone, which you guys don't even like anyway. They're the most, like, they're insane. And that's not for like the AB or the flame or the volcano or the mermaid. It's just a red and a yellow one and a green one. So I told her if I ever, and I accidentally ordered them, and because they were in a big order that came, I didn't know that she just gave me the full price, and I didn't look at each individual one because I was rushing for, now I know better, but I rushed through that order and placed an order, and I didn't notice. And then when they came in and it came down to like pricing, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I told her if I ever pick a stone that's like crazy expensive, like double what any of the other stones are, you let me know so I can divert or be prepared for it. She said, okay. So, anywho, this um today's is called Fairy Dust. It's kind of a pastel-y, soft toned one. It's only $5.25. You're going to be getting SS 4s, 5s, and 6s in this one. You double check the sizing. You're getting 3s mixing. Yeah, you're getting 4s, 5s, and 6s. Sorry, before I said that out loud, I wanted to make sure. So you're getting 4s, 5s, and 6s in this one in all the stone colors. They all are going to have between 5 and 6 generally stone colors. Some may come in 4s, but because the 4 colors I choose, I'm like obsessed with. So I'd rather you get, because you're getting 1,440 stones. So I'd rather you get more of those. I don't know. Sometimes my brain just goes, okay, just 4 colors on this one. So, but this one, it's beautiful. Like I said, pastels, all the things. Let me get a tray out. I'm going to put it on one of these little white trays because the colors show off better on the white. Hi, guys. So these are up on the website. The blueberry latte is sold out. Boardwalk has like 30 left. If you saw the on the boardwalk on Monday, there's about 30 of the on the boardwalks. And then these are launching today. Oh, these are like pinks and champagnes, peaches. Okay. Oh, with the light on, that one looks orange. There's no orange in here, by the way. I don't know why. Maybe it's my shirt. When I put the light up, when I go like this, it's not orange. When I go like this, it kind of looks orangey. They're all pinksy, fuchsia, AB amazingnesses. There is, that is a flame stone. This stone, right? Hold on. Now, which ones are the flames? This one right here. So the ones that kind of look like tan, like this one right here, not the bright color one. I'm going to try to get that stone. So keep your eye on this stone right here. This one is one of the flames. Okay. So it goes pink, green, champagne. It's a flame. If you haven't seen the flames, they're very chameleon-y. They're not ABs. But they're so pretty. So funny. One angle that those turn orange. But they're like a really pretty, like peach, pink, champagne. There's a little hint of green from like a far deep angle. So stinking pretty. Okay, so this is our glass mix. If you're new to hanging out and doing this with us, these are detail mixes. These are meant to be little tiny stones. You get 1,440 pieces in these mixes. This mix is only $5.25 per set. It's a smoking deal. We put them and we detail out our designs on our tumblers. You can do it on a sublimation tumbler. Like here, we've started this one. We did the dress, like I did her dress the other day, yesterday, and we started doing her googles, and her started on her wings. Okay, so we just take these little tiny stones and we detail out these tumblers. This is a good one because this one's got a lot on it. So this is kind of the concept: is we take these tumblers. You can do it as either a sublimated. Christmas. You can do it as either a sublimated tumbler or one of your glitter tumblers that you put your UV DTFs on, and then rhinestone over the top. Once you get your nice smooth coats on, I hurt myself. Okay, so pretty. So pretty. So rhinestones can be incorporated where you just completely pivot away if you're somebody who's kind of gotten away from epoxy because you have an allergy or you just have you moved into an apartment, you no longer have space, or when somebody moved into your home that's allergic, one reason or another why you start doing epoxy. You can still do fun tumblers, beautiful tumblers. We sell this tumblers sublimated already. So if you don't want to get the whole setup, which I get, I actually don't recommend getting a sublimation machine. They're a headache. We just had this whole week, we were fighting with our sublimation machines, two of them. They're a headache. And if you're a small business and one goes down, it's like a big financial burden. Anywho, so sublimation, we sublimate tumblers for you, or we sell you the sublimation sheets and you can press it yourself, or we sell them as a vinyl wrap. You can wrap it epoxy over the top. But you can just go in and start doing this detail work. You choose what you want to detail. Okay. So for example, here's one where I'm not going to do the entire tumbler. I just pick and choose what I want to rhinestone out. Okay. So like I did the gears, but I did the gears and the chain, but I didn't do the whole pipe and tube. I didn't do the swing. I might still go back through and do the swing. That actually be good. And I still got a little bit left to do, but you can go in and pick and choose what you want to rhinestone. It's just a really great way to like upgrade your sublimation tumblers or your glue tumblers. Oh, those two cute my little steampunk girls right there. All right. So today's glass mix is called Fairy Dust. It is up on the website. There's also 5 new sublimation tumblers available today. I moved my sublimation machine out of here. Otherwise, I would probably be doing paper wings to do today's rhinestones with because it's so pretty. Paper wings. Okay, so this is a sublimation print. You can order as a sublimation print, wrap it on your 20-ounce sublimation tumbler, and be ready to rock and roll. So this is a 20-ounce sublimation print. You can also get it as a vinyl wrap or sublimated already onto a tumbler. All of these designs, when you go and find them on the website, click it open. When you see this picture, click it open, and then you'll have a drop-down menu in the selection, and it'll say vinyl sublimation print or sublimated tumbler. Okay, you pick which one you want, how you want it. So we have this one. This is called Paper Wings. This one is called Lucky. Okay, and it says, "I'm so lucky people can't hear what I'm thinking." And the little frog and his little mushrooms, little froggy frogs with the mushroom gardens. And this one, okay, so this one is Simple Bouquet. Oh, I know which one that is. I was like, I'm missing one from today, but I have it. Here it is. Okay. Then we have Simple Bouquet. Okay, this is similar kind of concept to this. Y'all really like this one. So this is kind of a simple concept where you get the black and white, and you can we have teeny tiny little black resin rhinestones that you can do this in. Or you take a mix like today. Today is actually the fairy dust would be really pretty on this one because it would look kind of sepia toned, if you know what that is, when it's like the black and the white, but then something has a little bit of color. Like you can go in and add just a little bit of color to each flower and then be done. And use one that's like a little, the soft baby pink, a soft baby lavender, and little peachy colored one would be super pretty for this one. Okay, then we have little deer. Okay. And then we have Love You to Death. You guys love these sugar skulls. I understand. I love it. I'm, I'm born and raised San Diego, so like the Hispanic culture is very strong here. So I just love it. I love seeing it. Love celebrating it with everybody. So it's real fun and beautiful. I love the movie Coco. I know it's so basic, but I love the movie Coco. We've probably watched it 30 times. My kids are like, Mom, and I'm like, it's so cute. It's cold. I have been told by my husband I'm not allowed to use the heaters anymore, which is fine because it's actually warmed up. It's like 80 degrees here today, so I have just all the windows open. I don't have to heat the heater because our power bill was $660. He's like, I can see a distinct jump. And he's like, it was after those heaters went in your shopping cart for Amazon. Like, okay, okay. We have a fireplace. It works great. But then we also have a fireplace going, and then we also have a space heater just blasting us. So he's like, use the space heater sparingly, only when it's an absolutely frigid day. I was like, okay, because I wasn't being sparing with it. I was like, every day we were turning it on. So now he's like, you can live in California, but you can't have heat. You can't have both worlds. Yeah. Well, you have to understand, I've kind of gotten spoiled because in Texas, our thermostat was always on because we have two solar fields on our property in Texas. We never paid for power. And so we had either the AC or the heat that it was always temperature controlled our home. So I'm used to my home being between 68 and 73 degrees. 68 in the summer, no, 68 at night because that's what mama got to sleep in, and then 73 during the day. So when we woke up to here the other day, it was 47 degrees in the house. So the heat ran it. But like today, we just have the front and back doors wide open and the air is coming through. It's warm. It's 80 degrees, so it's nice. Okay. So as you guys jump in, there is a new glass detail mix up today. It's only $5.25 per portion, which is a smoking deal. It's glass, it's baby colors. You can see it up under today's deals. Go to iwantglitter.com. It's at the bottom of your screen. Go to today's deals. You're going to see right at the top. It is called Hello. Oh, hi Victoria. It is at the top of today's deals, and it is called Fairy Dust. That is today's rhinestone mix. Okay. We would be playing with it today, but the tumbler that I was going to put it on doesn't have epoxy on it. So now we're going to dive in and do some epoxy work. So as you guys just pop in, it is glass rhinestone day. Make sure you get them. This one is going to sell out. It's absolutely gorgeous. It is in your guys's color wheelhouse of favorites. So I know it's going to be gone. So there's oh, I don't have the website brought up. Sometimes I have the website open on me. Hold on. Today's deals. Oh, I'm not in the, hold on. Wrong window. Okay, there's only 85 sets left, FYI. Okay, of today's fairy. And so it is called Fairy Dust. Okay, so I would probably be sublimating today, but I want to get some epoxy on some tumblers. So let's do this. So there's 5 new tumbler designs up on the website. You can order as a sublimation print, a vinyl wrap, or a sublimated tumbler. You can see fun sublimated tumblers. You can glitter your sublimated tumblers and then rhinestone over the top of it. Here's an example where we've taken a sublimated tumbler, we added glitter to the first coat of epoxy, covered it, let it cure, put a second coat to get a nice smooth surface, and now we've begun the process of doing our rhinestone design. But so you're gonna have the rhinestone design, and the whole rest of the tumbler is gonna be glittery, which I love. And I like the feeling of an epoxy tumbler over a stainless steel tumbler. That's a personal preference. Most people don't even notice or care, but that's me. All right. So we're gonna dive in. We're gonna get some tumblers under the epoxy. I'm gonna go grab my other turner because I need one more. Oh, where did it just- Okay, here we go. Now, these are a couple of the tumblers we just have basic glitter on, and we're getting them base painted so that we can use some of these absolutely beautiful total tumblers on them. There, if you missed it yesterday, we launched some total tumblers, and I showed you guys a bunch of the new UVDTFs and total tumblers. Okay, we got tons and tons of them up on the website. And so I'm excited to get some of these guys going epoxy wise as well, so we can start playing with our total tumblers. Hi, you're gonna rewatch later. Who is that? Oh, Christy. Hey, girl. Hey. Okay, let's throw these on. It is glass rhinestone day, so the glass rhinestone mix is up under today's deals. It's only $5.25. It's a really good deal, so it's probably gonna go quite quickly. It's pinks and lavender, like super soft pastel lavenders, light baby pinks, medium pinks, a little bit of champagne, a little apricot. Oops, why did I just tighten that down? A little apricot awesomeness. Oh, I just had a thought really quick. I'm gonna do this before I start. So y'all, if you're following on the saga of me moving into this house, we got a really, really good deal on this house, but it came and like infested with rats and spiders. The spiders, I feel like I've got under control because the first like 3 weeks we lived here, I would kill a spider and then 2 days later there would be another spot right back in its spot. They were just moving in, and I feel like I've got that under control here. And I feel like we're getting a handle on the rats, but mainly because my freaking French bulldog has become a rat hunter. He hunts the rats. It's hilarious. So I think he's solved our rat problem. Like he's obsessed. He doesn't like eat them. He just hunts them and kills them. He's like a freaking terrier. Then my terriers are like, hey, no. Anyway, so I just had a thought that I had to go peek. Okay, pause. Okay, so guys, welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, this one's so pretty in the photo. Sorry, I haven't seen it. Oh yeah. Weirdly, the ones that look really dark, they're not really dark. That's just a really close up. There's no like super dark stones in there. They're all really light. I think they're just catching the light really funny. I would say that's actually not even, she's really good at photographing. I would look more at the pile of stones than I would the individuals because those really, really dark ones are just catching the light right at the really dark spot and they almost look like orange and red. They're not orange and red. Well, I guess you're catching a little flash of that here. That's what I'm saying. It's like at one angle, it's got a little flash of like deep, dark, kind of reddish, but it's not. They're really, really, really pastel and like fuchsia and pinks. Super pretty. So hard with a still photo to catch these colors that have all these facets of color off of them. So that is fairy dust. Okay, so let's play. Okay, so we're gonna play with epoxy. Hi guys. Let me put my rhinestone tools away. I don't need those. I'm gonna be getting on my nitrile gloves. I've got my chemical respirator, and we're going to epoxy these tumblers. We're gonna start. Where'd it go? With this guy. Okay, we're gonna start with this guy because this one is my main tumbler that I want to get done. Because today's, if you're wondering color wise, this mix, if you're like, I love this cup, I love the color scheme of this cup, today's fairy dust, this is a good example of the colors that are kind of in fairy dust. It's absolutely perfect. Now, we now are carrying a case of 50 tumblers. You get 50 of these sublimation ready 20-ounce straight tumblers with the straight edge. These can be tricky because this edge is so straight edge that sometimes the epoxy has a really hard time gripping on and staying here. So you end up with quite a bit of epoxy here and a lot of epoxy down here, but you're not getting really good coverage actually over that sharp straight edge. So an easy way to go through that and fix that is to use a little bit of UV resin and just put a little bit on there and fast cure it, immediate cure it. You guys, yours. And quick cure it on there because it's UV resin. And then epoxy over the top. That way you know that you have some durability on that edge. Now you can just completely ignore what I'm saying. You don't have to do the step. I think it's a good step. I think it's a good business practice to put out the best quality that you can. Now this doesn't have to be intense. I do need to wear my chemical respirator and my nitrile gloves because I'm very, very allergic to UV resin. Sorry, I had to make sure that my door was closed to my upstairs unit. Okay. So what we're going to do is this also, you're not in a rush to do this. Okay. This is going to be a slow process, not a slow process, but we're not going to try to cover the whole thing all at once. We're going to go little by little. My light is already on. It's facing down on the table. Okay. And we're going to try to put just a little bit right on that corner in a small section. And kind of work it right on that edge. And then hit it with some light. Okay, and that's just going to add just a little bit. Okay, on that edge. Now you're going to find this with your regular tumblers, with your glitter tumblers, if you're going to put glitter on some of your sublimation tumblers, that this straight edge can be a little bit of a stinker. But and don't stress, and it doesn't cure until you put light on it. So just take your time. That's the way you'll avoid some bubbles. Okay, get it on there, hit it with the light. Now, when you're first putting it on, it only needs to be under the light for like 10 seconds. That's gonna freeze it up. It's gonna do the immediate quick freeze. Okay. We're not going for the long full cure. We're just going for the fast freeze. Okay. And then we're gonna go in. And like you see, we're just doing small sections at a time. If you try to do it all at once, you're probably gonna end up with some muffin butt or some drip somewhere. Okay, you can see what I do is I just take my finger and I run it along the bottom. That's kind of just smooths it so it doesn't make, because what I don't want is a bubble on the butt down here. And then I'm going to smooth it right along here. Okay, and then one more spot there. And then one more along the spot, because a little bubble along the edge is not too big of a deal, but a bubble along the butt is going to affect the way it sits. Okay, because it will have a rocky bottom. It'll a tipsy topsy bottom. Okay, so you just run your finger along that butt and coax it to be right on that hard edge. And it's that simple. If you do get a little bumble on the butt, no big deal. Just sand it down. Just hand sand it. Gently, gently sand it. Okay, I think that's the whole thing. Yep, okay, so that's the whole thing. So now we'll just let our whole thing sit under the light. Okay, so we got that guy. It's a real easy process. It does take a little practice, but like you saw, just run your finger along the bottom, run your finger along the top, and then run your finger along the bottom. All you're doing is coaxing that UV resin to sit right on that hump. Okay, rotate where my light is. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just rotating the light so that it's getting a little light action on the whole thing. UV resin is a really, really fun product. I'm kind of obsessed. I wish I wasn't so allergic to it. If you are in a huge rush, you can actually take a tumbler, sand it, wash it, spray paint it, base it, whatever color you want. Take UV resin, coat the whole cup in UV resin. Take an opalescent glitter, sprinkle that opalescent glitter over that UV resin, and then cure it in the light. That glitter is boop, frozen in place, and then you can go straight into
doing your epoxy. You don't need to spray, seal it or anything. Just glitter dust or brush it off maybe, and then put it on the turner, epoxy it. And then so it makes that first step. You can go really, really, really quickly. Do I recommend it? No, but it is fun to try it and too fun to do it. UV resin will yellow, just like all epoxy will. But yeah, it's a fun little project, and I love it. UV resin is instant gratification. But what I've learned as somebody who used to have our own line of epoxy and UV resins manufactured, the faster an epoxy cures, the more expensive it is, and the faster it will yellow. So all these people using these faster cure epoxies that cure to the touch and hard in 4 hours, those cups, I don't care who it is. I'm not bashing any one brand. They all yellow faster. The slower it cures, the less likely it is to yellow. The slower it will yellow. That is just there's no way around that. I have talked to epoxy chemists, specialists, not just one, like from different manufacturers. It is, and if they're telling you something else, the claims that are made about epoxy, by the way, are not regulated by anyone. So when they say VOC free, there's no one holding them accountable, whether it is VOC free or not. And I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm just saying there's no government agency regulating the craft industry products, right? So when you hear somebody saying organic, natural ingredients, no VOC, blah, 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 that's all just a bunch of spin words to make you feel safe and comfortable and that their product is better than everyone else's product. It ain't any different. They're all blanketed about the same. You just need to find the brand that you like, that works best for you, that does the things that you needed to do, and just know that they are what they are. There's no such thing as an organic organic epoxy. In natural ingredients, cyanide is natural, formaldehyde is natural. I mean, it doesn't. Is there anything that you could do when a cup yellows? When a cup yellows, what I would actually do is possibly take the cup back. If it's your cup, your own personal cup, I would sand down as many layers. Let's say you put your decals on, then you put 2 coats of epoxy on. I would try to actually sand down 1.5 of those coats and then recoat it. And when I would recoat it, I would add a little bit of blue dye to the epoxy because the blue is going to cancel out the yellow and kind of cancel that out. But yeah, it's just kind of just know that if you have a white cup in 5 years, it's going to have like a tint of beigey yellowiness to it. But what you can also do before you do that is you can add the dye to the resin before, when you're mixing it and putting on. So let's say you're doing a white cup, in the years to come that this is going to yellow. You can help it a little bit by adding some blue gel. I like blue gel food coloring. You can use regular food coloring, but I like blue gel personally. The blue food coloring to it. You can add a little bit of purple paint. I don't recommend, some people are like, oh yeah, blue or purple alcohol ink. Alcohol ink fades very, very quickly. If you've done an alcohol ink swirl tumbler, and you use it on a regular basis and you're in and out of the house and whatever, that those alcohol inks fade. You get about, I would say 6 months. I would be pressed to say a year out of those. Alcohol ink fades in epoxy. Alcohol inks and epoxy do not play well together. That's why you don't see me use alcohol inks and epoxy very often. You can, but they don't play well together. That's why when they say you're going to clean up, sorry, I have to wear my chemical respirator because I'm super allergic to UV resin. So that's when they say if you spill your epoxy, use the Gorilla Grip, the Gorilla wipes, or like baby wipes, because they have alcohol in them. And the alcohol is what's helping you clean up that baby wipe mess. So that's just telling you right there that like it doesn't play well together. And if you add too much alcohol ink to your epoxy will not cure properly. The more the alcohol is affecting affecting your epoxy curing. So if you add more than like 2 drops of epoxy, you're creating a defective cup because you're imbalancing those part A and part B, the hardener, and the alcohol in there is retarding chemical reaction, so it can't do it properly, and it's not going to harden properly, and it might feel hard to the touch. But on a microscopic level, on a cellular, they're not cells, but on a microscopic level in there, when you're looking at it, it is degraded. What about the blue epoxy dye? Yes, blue epoxy dye. Yeah, blue epoxy dye. We named it epoxy dye because we are epoxy artists, and I wanted it to be very obvious that it was a works well with epoxy type epoxy. So yeah, the blue epoxy dye works great. So I'm going to sand just a tiny bit on here because I can see there is a little bit of a ridge here, a little bit of UV resin on the butt in this one spot. I'm not going to overdo it, but I don't want to have a wobbly tumbler. And I can just see that just a hint of a ridge. So I'm going to sand that down. Notice I'm not sanding anywhere right on the edge. I'm sanding just flat down on that butt where it looks like a little bit of this UV resin kind of spilled over the edge. And just nice and slow and steady. I'm not going to rush through this because if I sand too far, I'm going to hit the cup, which is what I definitely do not want to do. I'm kind of just looking at it horizontally, and I'm just going to gently sand until I can't see a variance right here. It's very, very small. I can also test the cup. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay, there we go. All right. So then normally you would want it to go take the sand, wash it with soap and water. I know that our epoxy works really, really well. It's not going to be affected by that baby wipe, the epoxy that we use. It's not my, I mean, it's mine. I physically own it. It's not our brand of epoxy. Okay, so now this cup is ready to get epoxied. Ooh, there's one of my big long hairs. So now you can see, before this felt like a hard ridge, you could actually feel the tip of that point of that edge. And now it feels more rounded. That's what you're going for. It means there's a little bit of coating there, a little bit stronger. Then we're going to put this round of epoxy on, and it's going to get even better. This is going to be the final coat of epoxy for this one. We did this glitter swirl on the live last week. If you guys are just popping in, we are working with the Fairy Dust Rhinestone Mix. Sorry, I put the rhinestones away. Let me bring it back out. The Fairy Dust Rhinestone Mix is going to go perfectly with these UVDTFs. This is the Positive Vibes complete pack. Okay, so let me show you guys Fairy Dust. So Fairy Dust is a light, very pastel lavender, a baby pink, kind of a mauve, I would say, and it's got a flame stone in there. If you know what the flames are, they're very chameleon stones. And it kind of looks almost like a fuchsia AB in there. From one angle, it looks kind of red orange. It is not red orange. It's very fuchsia. Okay, so these are very soft, beautiful, tiny, tiny, tiny little stones. Okay. So the color palette of this is this stone mix. See, perfect. Okay, so this is Fairy Dust that I'm using. I can actually, hold on. Don't need the UV resin light anymore. All right. You guys, it's 3:30. It's literally, Isaac called me every day of this time. I'm like, babe, I'm alive. Every time. This is like the 4th day in a row. I'm like, why don't you just pop on and see if I'm live before you go calling me? Okay, so we're going to get this guy under epoxy so that we can use today's Fairy Dust on this tumbler. So if you're new to hanging out with us, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. There's a lot going on the website today. There are 5 new tumbler designs. You can order as a sublimation print, a vinyl wrap, or sublimated tumbler. We will sublimate it and send it to you guys so you can do all your beautiful rhinestone work on it. Okay, there's 5 new designs up on the website. That's going to be under today's deals as well. And then today's Fairy Dust glass rhinestone detail mix is there. Those are going to be SS4s, 5s, and 6s. So you're gonna get all the colors in all the sizes, and you're gonna get 1,440 pieces, and it's only $5.25. So today's glass mix is a smoking deal. Okay, so and they're gonna sell out the color. I always know you guys with the color scheme. I always know where it's going. All right. So here we go. We're gonna get this guy under epoxy. Now, if you're new to doing epoxy work, um, we used to carry and do our own epoxy line. We have not done that now in many years. It's very daunting, but I did a bunch of research to kind of determine what brand of epoxy I was going to switch to. And I wanted to have a very user-friendly and very inexpensive epoxy with the right consistency and beautiful shine. This is the epoxy that we use. We have it linked in our Amazon store. It's called Tumbler Coating Epoxy. Simply that. It's very expensive. I believe it's like $65 or $70 to get the 2.5 gallons. So it makes a 1 gallon, a full one. Oh, I'm sorry, it's my stir stick. Where's all my stir sticks? Okay. Okay, it's very, very inexpensive as far as epoxy goes, because epoxy can get real pricey. So for me, when I found this one, friendly usability is a big thing for me. This one very rarely fish eyes on me. It's usually my own fault because I'm always just like half-assing it. I'm not really. Sometimes I'm like, well, I touched it with all my oily hands like this. I use my baby wipe to clean it, and we'll keep on moving. It won't surprise me if I fish eye right there because that's just the way it is. But I just dive. I keep rolling and keep going through. But generally, it doesn't do that. Like that's why I like this epoxy. It's very, very user friendly. As far as all that goes. It doesn't fish eye easily. Now you can see mine is pretty yellow in the bottle. That's because this is almost 2 years old. This epoxy, I used it when I was at my mom's house for the summer. We stayed here for 6 weeks, 2 summers ago. We did a 6-week stint because I was just over Texas. So I'm getting my measurements exact here. And I was just like over Texas. And then I left these there and they were just in a box. My mom put them up in her attic. My dad just brought them over the other day and I'm like, oh, and so they're oxidized. Now, epoxy does have a shelf life. When you buy epoxy, they're going to say you want to use it within 6 months. That's because of the oxidization. It doesn't mean the epoxy won't work or it's bad epoxy. It just means it's not in its perfect condition anymore. It will have oxidized, as you can see on that one. It's turned yellow, but that doesn't change the chemical compound of it or its ability to cure up. It just means it's going to have that slight amber color to it. But again, it doesn't affect the usability of the epoxy. It's all I've been using since I've been back in California because I'm too cheap to buy another box when that one's perfectly good. You can see the epoxy is fine. You mix it together, it's going to do its thing. Okay, it's a 2-part epoxy. It's got the right consistency for tumblers. You can see I stir like crazy. Now it's full of bubbles. I do not worry about the bubbles up front. This is not a big deal. If you're doing a deep pour of something, then yeah, it's going to be a bigger deal. But I'm not doing a deep pour. I'm just putting a layer of epoxy on a tumbler. It's going to be a thin layer. And those bubbles are going to pop easily. So I don't sit and slow stir something. I don't have time for that. We just get her done. I prefer my turner rolling away from me. I think that's just because in all the years I've been doing this, that's just kind of what I've done. So it's just a comfort level thing for me. This is all muscle memory for me now, applying epoxy. I could do this all day long. I could do this with my eyes closed. Okay, we apply our epoxy right on the top. You can see I only use the one finger. The more of your hand you get involved, the more likely you are to make mistakes, and a lot of epoxy is going to get wasted. Because wherever you touch it, you're going to have epoxy on that, which is then wasted epoxy because you're not going to be able to get it off all your gloved fingers and onto your tumbler. So that would all be waste. So if you only use one finger, you're only wasting enough that covers that one finger that you clean off at the end. But if you touch with your hand, all that epoxy that's all over that gloved hand is now just waste. So I'm very, very big on being frugal, stretching our epoxy, making it last as long as possible, and financially responsible about our crafting. If we can be. If you Okay, so we put our epoxy there. Then for the butt, I just push it over, push it off the side. If you're just popping in, the decals on this one are the decals. Sorry, these are the UVDTS from the Positive Vibes complete pack. Okay, I've got about 4 grams of epoxy left. I'm going to go ahead and apply that because it is a very, very thin coat that's on there now. This will self-level around the tumbler. So I'm going to kind of put it on there and spread it out a little bit, but it will just naturally find its safe space on the tumbler. Okay, I do still scrape as much of it off my glove as I can. And then put it on. Okay. Now there's a little bit in there. If you need to do a hang method on another tumbler, ooh, maybe we should just do that really quick. So I can show you that. Okay, wherever you got. I don't really want to. I've got another tumbler that needs to be epoxied, so I don't want to start another glitter-based tumbler. I'm trying to do good about not having 80 bajillion projects and actually finishing projects. Like this one is almost done. I'm so proud of myself. We started this one last week and we're already almost done this week. So I'm trying to be better about like continuing my projects on my lives with you guys. So my brain wants to take this the little drips and dredges and actually glitter a tumbler using it, but we're not going to do that because that's another tumbler started that'll take me forever to finish. All right, so easy. Now there are some little bubbles there that I can see that could be easily popped. Sorry, I messed up. I've been saving my little resin cups. I've got a whole pile of them. I'm going to start a crafting ASMR channel because I have many ideas. Torch. Where's my torch? There she is. Oh yeah, that's right. My torch is almost out of gas. Oh, we're almost out of gas. Hold on, I think I have a second torch out here. No, those are all. I thought I had 2 torches floating around here. Oh, there it is. It's on my table. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're just gonna let this brush over the top. This is gonna pop any of those little micro bubbles. And it'll pop into those big grievous bubbles as well. Notice I do not hesitate over any portion of the tumbler. I go. Okay, we're just moving. The goal of this one is to get a nice glossy, smooth surface so we can start using today's fairy dust rhinestones on this guy. Okay, does anybody have any questions about the epoxy process? Anybody having difficulty, struggling with anything that needs me to kind of walk you through any kind of problems? So here she is. If you're wondering what the colors of the fairy dust rhinestones are, it's this. This is the color scheme of your fairy dust. Okay. So pretty. I can't figure out why it's showing orange. So pretty. There we go. That's got good light right there. It's like a really pretty, like peachy color. There's a flame stones in there. That's the one that's like, it's like a mauve pink fuchsia to a champagne. It's so pretty. There's a light, very pastel lilac in there. absolutely gorgeous. And there's some that are just a tiny bit darker that would be beautiful down on your fairy. Oh, I'm in love with this tumbler. So for this tumbler, the initial of this tumbler was a glitter swirl. We mixed the 5 glitter colors. We did Gwyneth. I got it still sitting here. We did Gwyneth, which is our kaleidoscope. We did Otis. We did Hercules. We did George, which is a fine fantasy white. We did a custom iridescent purple and Live Mix number 120 as the white. So those are the 6 glitter colors. Was it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 glitter colors that we did as a glitter swirl on this tumbler. Then we took it and put all of our UV DTFs on it. Now we've got the epoxy on top of it, and then on top of that, I will be rhinestoning. So that one will kind of ultimately start to begin to look like this, where you've got the epoxy over the decals, and then we're going to start rhinestoning over the details of those decals. The rhinestones will not be epoxied over. You can see that they stand out. There will be no more epoxy. So these are being super strength glue straight onto the tumbler, and that will be the end of the finish. The end and the finish. Now I was going to do more tumblers, but yeah, okay, let's put this guy on, right? One, that guy, okay. Now, that's gonna come on. Bring this one in. We'll do this one. Okay, this is one of our tumblers. Oh, this tumbler. Hold on. One more. Oh. Okay. Steal the phone. There we go. All right. So this tumbler was this blue color that you see here. That was the color of this tumbler. You can see it didn't cover. It still says Camelback. I believe this was a Walmart tumbler from forever a day ago. And then I put Adriel and who was this on the bottom? Zane. Maybe it was Jay. I'm trying to think. It would have either been, I think it was Jay on the bottom. Adriel and Jay over the top. They're both kind of a seafoamy color. Adriel is a fantasy. If you're seeing that like electric blue purple kind of come off of it, that's the glitter. Okay, it's stunning. Now this one is going to be simply just actually, now that I think about it, this one is going to simply be a single glitter color, and then we're going to cover it with the decals. But I just realized I want to do the same thing for this one as we did for our sublimation tumbler. I want to do the edges. So I want to show you guys this since we're kind of working on this today. For these rough edges, a lot of newbies struggle with getting a nice smooth coat over this. The reason you're struggling is because you haven't learned this trick. We're going to take our UV light. We're going to take our UV resin. We're going to put a drizzle of the UV resin on that edge. We're going to make sure that's on there well, coat it on. And then hit it with the light. Freeze it in space. You only need to hold the light on it for a few seconds. This is going to put a nice coating over that edge. Okay, you'll leave it a few seconds. We'll do the final cure at the end. Okay, the few seconds is just to freeze it in time. Okay, I'm not trying to do the whole cup at the same time. Little small sections. Okay. Freeze it in time. Okay. I actually think I've done the whole tumbler. But a little tiny little spot right here. Okay, now I'm gonna do the butt and I can also do the top lip. So we're gonna do the butt. You guys are so quiet today. Nobody is talking today. It's quiet, quiet, quiet. Okay, so we're just tearing this butt up. Okay, so if you guys are jumping in today, there's 5 new tumbler designs up on the website, and there is a new glass detail mix up today called Fairy Dust. The pictures do not do that one justice. Alyssa's been doing a really good job photographing it, but today it looks like there's like a bright orange in it, and there is not really a bright orange in it. It's really just like a lavender, a champagne, a peach, a really pretty dusty pink, but the stunner in there is that flame pink. It's like a light pink, like a mauve pink to a light pink to a fuchsia pink to a little bit of a champagne to a gold. So pretty. Yeah, one of the stones at one little angle almost flat. It does the AB comes off of it like a little orangey, and I think that's what got photographed. But if you're just looking at the stones, they're fuchsia pinky colors. Hi guys. I don't know what to do when you guys are so quiet. I'm like, Grr. Okay. So now we're going to take this and we're going to do the top lip. So a lot of times when you're using a chunky glitter, it can be difficult to get this top lip also covered really well. That. Okay, so we're going to do the same. Oops, that's closed. We're going to do the same thing up here, where we're going to do just a little razzle dazzle. Now, this cannot be your final coat up here, you guys. UV resin is not FDA compliant, so it cannot be your final coat. You've got to put an FDA compliant epoxy over the top of it. Okay, we're just going to smooth that out. Make sure there's no drips off the side. Jesus, those kids. Okay, and then we're going to cure that up. And this is just to put a little bit extra so you get really good coverage over that. Okay. Does anyone know if that pink cup next to the love cup is an RBD? It is not an RBD. It is not an RBD. It's just a solid pattern so that you can scatter method right over the top of that thing using the scatter method. So it's not an RBD, but it is a pattern cup in the sense that, like, I would put SS16s along the whole dark outline, and then I would go in and scatter method, like, in colors. Like, I'd do the hard, rigid lines in one single color. So, like, SS, I would say 16s or 12s along all the lines in the same color, and then everything else in the middle would be scatter method of, like, a light pink. Yeah. So it's not an RBD. It's not a stone by stone by stone by stone, the whole map, but it's also not a full scatter method. It's meant to kind of be like a pattern, a scatter pattern. Yeah. All right. And then we're gonna do this. It would be a super knockout tumbler. The way that I'm describing it would be super pretty. Okay. Make sure there's no drips. Right. My kids, they're just pounding across the floor. They're crazy knuckleheads. Hi guys, as you guys are all popping in. New glass rhinestones up today. We are just taking this tumbler. This is one that we put base glitters on. It had the rubber butt. We just epoxied right over the rubber butt because I didn't want to peel it off. I can't remember. I tried to peel it off, but it wouldn't come up easily. And so I just gave up and I said, forget it. We're just having fun. This is just an old beater cup. I think it came from Walmart at some point. Is its original origin, film of origin. I don't remember. It's one I had bought to use the tumbler when I was here at my parents all summer. Let me set this up so I have my hands free. All right, so I want to show you guys. So we're just playing with UV resin. Kind of the trick today is using that UV resin to get that solid coverage of those edges so that you lose that rough edge on the bottom and the rough edge around the lip. Those are two hard spots to get coverage on your epoxy. Beginners will tend to just keep adding coats of epoxy, and coats of epoxy, hoping that eventually it will build up enough, but they'll end up with muffin butts and all kinds of problems. So just take a little zhuzh of UV resin, top and bottom, and then move on from there and coats of epoxy. Like I said, this tumbler is super pretty now. We've just put it along the butt. It didn't need it along the top because it didn't have chunky glitter up there. But this one has a lot of chunky glitter up there, so it needed a little bit of extra oomph and love. I'm just giving this one last little zhuzh of light. I am gonna have to get going though because I'm still not feeling good. I've been under the weather this week and wearing this mask with my congestion and my sore throat and stuff. It's gonna start getting to me. I can feel it. Like, leave. I'm just trying to make sure this one gets a good cure. Now, I can, if I'm worried or concerned about this UV resin not being fully cured, even after it's epoxied, I can take it out and put it out in the sunlight, and the UV resin will still fully cure out that way. So it's up to you how you feel. But as long as it got a little bit over a minute of that solid UV light, you're probably good. Okay, here we go. Wait, we're not plugged in. Okay, so we're gonna mix epoxy. Oh, I didn't make my lines on this one. Hold on. I didn't mark my lines. I always take a permanent marker when I mark out my measurement lines. They're just easier for me to see even with my glasses on. It's just so I have a very easy visual gauge of where to go, how much to fill that cup. Okay. Okay, sorry, mixing part A and part B. All right, again, when I mix my epoxy, I'm doing 20 grams. This is a 30-ounce tumbler, but 20 grams is going to be enough. I don't want to do the coats too heavy or thick because then it just makes the cup really, really heavy. Sorry. My God. Customer, a Little Leah Rose Crew, I have a question. If you have a textured glitter tumbler, can you put a UV DTF on it without epoxy? No, you cannot. That UV DTF will not stick. And it may go down, you may be able to somehow get it off and on, but it will not stay there. It needs to have a smooth, hard surface for it to be durable. It could just be a smooth surface, but if it bends, it will crack and break. So it needs to be a smooth surface. So you're gonna have to get epoxy on that, get it coated. I know, I wish it would be nice to be able to skip some steps, but you gotta get that surface smooth. Even if you're just gonna apply it down and then get up epoxy over the top of it later, it's if there's even a chance that epoxy can get under that because the grit of the glitter isn't gonna allow it to actually fuse on. It may stick on kind of on the surface level, but that epoxy as it's curing is going to be rolling and going up under that decal, and it's going to buckle as that decal is going to lift up. I've seen it happen. So you do need to have a smooth surface. Now, this tumbler that we worked on a minute ago, it was a glitter swirl. It was a ripply surface. So it wasn't a perfectly flat, smooth surface, but it was a smooth surface, but it was ripply, and we did go apply onto that tumbler, but it's the epoxy surface was smooth, but it wasn't flat, but it did go on just fine. And then, of course, we epoxied over the top of it to make it permanent. I feel like my kids are playing hacky sack upstairs. Okay, here we go. Now, applying the epoxy, we're going to go about an inch below the lip, and we're going to push that epoxy down. Notice I angle my finger towards me. About an inch and angle and push that epoxy. Okay, now we're not going for full coverage on the first round. You have plenty of time to get this all the way down. Okay. Can you guys hear my kids, or is it coming through on the camera? If they're so loud. So this house has this downstairs that you know you heard that one. I can't imagine what's happening up there. This house has this downstairs area, which would be perfect if our kids were a little older. Even I haven't said not even if they were older, because it's easier for them to sneak out. But it could be like obviously one of the kids' bedrooms and stuff down here to sleep. I've taken it over as my workspace, and it's going to be like our area for if somebody comes to visit where they could stay. And I've also jokingly told Alyssa for her to come back to be able to move back to California, she could come live here for a little bit. I told her the other day, I was like, girl, you don't want to live there. It's so loud down there. Because I'm like, I know that what they're doing up there, they're not even stomping around. They're just walking through the house. But because it's like, I don't know if it's not insulated or whatever between the layers, it is so loud with them up there. So funny. I'm like, girls, you're so loud. Okay, so we're just putting this on. Now, this one I'm just being extra careful up here because my foam is starting to pop out through the top a little bit, and I don't want the foam and the touching, I don't want the epoxy touching that foam, so it'll stick to it, and then we'll have a whole mess that we're just trying to clean up afterwards. I don't want any cleanup on this. I just want to be done. So right now what I'm going for is a nice smooth coat, so we can now apply, once this epoxy dries, we can apply, we can go ahead and stick our decals on. So we're going for shooting for this to be the smooth coat. Then we'll get our decals on, and then it'll be final coat. For tumblers, you want to have at least 2 coats of epoxy on. 3 coats. 3 coats is best. 2 is a necessity. That foam is going to light on fire with this torch. It's going to be a pain. Oh, we're running out of gas in this one too. Oh, I'm gonna have to go a little bit early because well, the kids and I will go to Home Depot before we pick up the baby. I gotta go to Lowe's to get a butane refiller. Oh no, there's bubbles. I can see them. Oh well, Good thing there's gonna be a lot of decals on this cup, because I can still see the micro bubbles, because that flame was going out. Both of those are, both those torches are toast. They refill from the bottom, but I don't have my butane refill. I was propane. I'm doing butane and propane. All right, so if you guys are just jumping in today, we did a little bit of epoxy work because I wanted to get these tumblers with smooth surfaces so we can keep moving them forward and get them finished. So we did a little epoxy work. I showed you guys the trick with using the UV resin on that bottom edge. Oh, there's a little spot right there. On that bottom edge and on this top edge to make sure you get really good coverage and nice smoothness. And then we also launched these new beautiful rhinestones today. This is a glass rhinestone mix. These are going to be fours, fives, and sixes. Okay, so these are multiple colors. It's a stone color mix. You're going to get all the colors in all the sizes. It's going to be fours, fives, and sixes to do all your detail line work. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, there's also 5 new tumbler designs up on the website today. So you can grab one of those. You can get a sublimation print, a vinyl wrap, or a sublimated tumbler. All right, y'all, it was fun hanging out with you guys. I'm going to jam. I got these 2 tumblers going. I feel super stoked about that. And then they'll be ready to play with again. And I'll see you later. So I apparently have to go to Home Depot so I can go get some more butane. Because if I put this off, I will, in 6 months, I'm going to be still complaining about not having a torch ready. And this is something every epoxy artist needs. We got to have our torches. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.